13th Amendment to the United States Constitution states, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States." The affirmative's proposal that the federal government should establish a system of compulsory service is clearly a contradiction of our highest law of the land, a violation of legislation and personal freedom alike. But more than that, it is romanticized ideal speculation. The plan that was just presented to you sounds appealing. Sure, there are benefits to national service, but when we examine it logically, you will see that their proposition is impractical, unconstitutional, and unneeded. Involuntary servitude is defined by the U.S. Legal Dictionary as a person laboring against that person's will to benefit another under some form of coercion. But that, which is prohibited by the Constitution, is exactly what was just proposed to you. The Supreme Court held in Butler v. Perry that the only exception to this rule is for enforcement of those duties which individuals owe to the state, such as services in the army, militia, or on the jury. In other words, the government does not have the jurisdiction to require participation in organizations such as the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, or, as they brought up, Habitat for Humanity. Therefore, barring constitutional amendment that would significantly reduce Americans' personal freedom, the affirmative's plan is, in essence, illegal. However, rather than focusing on this technicality, I will explain why the plan itself is both impractical and unneeded. First of all, think about the immensity of what this plan entails. Currently, there are over 25 million American citizens between the ages of 18 and 24. 25 million citizens that need to find and apply for a position, have it approved by the government, receive training, have their hours recorded and regulated. The costs, and more importantly the bureaucracy that this would generate, is nearly unfathomable. But as Jake did, I will try to put it in perspective. The Department of Veterans Affairs is a body that regulates paperwork, medical care, etc. for those who have served in the military. Currently, the agency is responsible for 24.5 million veterans, roughly the same number of citizens that the affirmative's proposal addresses. The agency employs 280,000 workers, with a federal budget of $87.6 billion. Let's say the government scraps responsibility for the medical treatment of its national service people. The number of workers it would take to ensure everyone is working the required number of hours at an approved location and keep corruption at a low level is still astronomical. Another flaw with the affirmative's argument is their assertion that a citizen is free to work wherever he or she wants. Organizations like the Peace Corps and Teach for America are highly selective. Teach for America is expected to receive 46,000 applications this year for 4,100 available positions. As Jake explained, the Peace Corps and other such organizations have similar numbers. Further, small community programs, such as shelters or soup kitchens, simply don't have the resources for such an influx of volunteer workers. Often underfunded, dedicating their time and resources to training a constant flow of new workers would greatly detract from the impact that they could make, not increase it. The armed forces, then, would be the only major group willing to accept volunteers en masse, forcing thousands, maybe millions of citizens that cannot find positions elsewhere into the military to fulfill their requirements. Then, besides the protests and riots that would ensue, as they have during every era of mandatory service in the military, even the forces would likely suffer from lack of housing, funding, and qualified training personnel. The main problem with any plan about the Army, though, is that, stretched as the forces may be, the commanders do not support this type of increase in troops. Yes, current soldiers suffer discomfort and extended tours of duty, but they knew what they were getting into when they signed up. And were a surge to be deemed necessary, a draft could and would be initiated. The Selective Service Program requires able-bodied citizens of this age group to register so that, in case of national emergency, a larger army can be easily raised. The simple fact that we have not enforced a draft tells us that national service is not currently needed and so should not be made mandatory. The data on service in other areas as well tells a similar story. A recent governmental study, Volunteering in America 2009, was the most comprehensive ever assembled on volunteer trends and demographics, and found that a total of 61.8 million Americans volunteered through an organization in 2008, up 1 million from the previous year. America's volunteers dedicated more than 8 billion hours of service in 2008 alone. While the formal volunteering rate in America remained at a relatively stable 26.4%, other, less formal ways of serving in communities have dramatically increased, rising by 31% from 15.2 million in 2007 to 19.9 million in 2008. According to the Corporation for National and Community Service, this suggests an emerging trend of self-organized, do-it-yourself service. The report also found an increase in volunteering by young adults, aged 16 to 24, rising from 7.8 million in 2007 to 8.2 million in 2008. The finding aligns with other indicators suggesting a strong service ethic within our generation, including a 217% increase in applications to AmeriCorps from 2008 to 2009. The Obama administration is already working to encourage continuation of this trend with its United We Serve initiative and serve.gov website. My point in reciting all of these statistics is to show you that there is no need to make service mandatory. As the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Volunteerism is at an all-time high, still on the rise, and it didn't take federal mandates or budget increases. Don't think Jake and I are being selfish. We do not disagree with the affirmative that service is beneficial, nor even that it should be encouraged. But when you make your decision today, consider this. At our school, the National Honor Society, Key Club, the SGA, the Aid for Africa Club, and others provide students with opportunity and incentives for service. The Affirmatives Plan mandates it, sending all young adults, willing or not, into government-enforced positions. Which seems more likely to establish an ethic of service? As Mark Twain wrote, a sense of loyalty is loyalty to one's country, not to its institutions or its office holders. Thank you, and please vote affirmative.